When did a game of hide and seek go horribly wrong? From the great British actor David Niven's Wikipedia page, while on leave in 1940. Niven met Primi Susan Rollo, the 18th of February 1918. London, the 21st of May 1946. Primi died at the age of 28. Only 6 weeks after the family moved to the US. She fractured her skull in an accidental fall in the Beverly Hills, California home of Tyrone Power, while playing a game of hide and seek. She had walked through a door believing it to be a closet, but instead, it led to a stone staircase to the basement. When I was a kid, my 2 older brothers would always make me be it. One time they both hid in a trunk full of clothes. I was probably 6 or 7. So I decided to lock them in. Only I didn't have a key. They panicked like crazy and were having trouble breathing. The babysitter was going crazy. I think she broke the lock eventually. But it was some scary moments. I was a waiter and some kids from a party I was serving played hide and seek, and about 5 minutes later they had to come back because the chef came to cook. Teppanyaki restaurant. There were 2 guardians looking after the children, and one of them realized that a child was missing and freaked out. It was like a mini manhunt in the restaurant. This was all done by the guardians. Since they didn't tell anyone, I just overheard them and decided to watch what they would do. After about 5-10 minutes of searching, the girl comes out crying they forgot about me. She was in the bathroom the whole time and she was quiet when they called for her because she thought they were still playing. If you ask me, when they started a new round because everyone had been found, except me, on my birthday party. Before I was born, my brothers and sisters played a game at my aunt's house down by the river. My eldest brother decided to hang by his fingertips inside the water well. Meanwhile, and unknowing of that fact, my other brother thought about hiding up inside the little steeple cover of the well, and to get to it needed to slam shut the well cover. LMAO. Slam. Blood-curdling scream. Splash. Cries for help. Between fits of unadulterated anger interspersed with disbelief and worry, my aunt, grandmother and mom managed to get him pulled up, which wasn't easy because with all of those smashed fingers of his he couldn't hold tight to a rope. I thought I would be clever and hide underneath an abandoned vehicle in somebody's yard. It was covered with hornets' nests underneath. I was the first one found. Got 63 stings. The frikers chased me for a block. Just like in a cartoon. Cloud of bees behind me. We had just recently moved into our neighborhood and my sister, 5 at the time, was playing hide and seek with a neighbor kid. Long story short, kid couldn't find her. All the adults started going around the neighborhood shouting for her. It was getting dark. After a while my parents called the police. Someone eventually found her and she said she did hear everyone looking for her, but she was playing hide and seek, so she wasn't coming out until someone found her. Parents called the police back and told them not to come. That's how we met most of our neighbors. I was a member of my university's hide and seek club. And at one point the police were called, however we had proper signage up. So the police warned us to stay out of a part of the building as they were looking for a suspicious person. What neither the police nor we had figured out yet was that we were the suspicious figure that had been reported. Was playing hide and seek by a river while going camping. It was kind of dark out. Went to hide in some bushes near the river. Went to step into the bushes and it was steep drop off into the river. Got completely soaked above my knees. It took them a while to find me though. I managed to send an entire store on lockdown and freak out my entire family when I was maybe 5 years old. My family was at Lowe's. And I decided to take my Kirby plushie with me and hide behind some shelves or boxes. And see if they could find me. Turns out they couldn't. And ran around outside because they thought someone kidnapped me. The entire store went on lockdown for a missing child. All the while I'm sitting, giggling and waiting for them to find me. I eventually came out of hiding after my mom passed me. And got in huge trouble afterwards. I never hid in public again as a kid. So when I was a wee kid and a scout, we played hide and seek in the dark. We usually played something like this every time the last 15 minutes. It was a medium-sized cabin. Essentially. There was a lot of places to hide. Lots of stuff just lying around. For some reason there was a coffin there and nobody, as far as I know, ever hid inside. Because it's a coffin. And that's just creepy. But my smartest hid inside it. And lucky for me, another guy also looking for a hiding spot saw me. He decided to lock the coffin I was inside of. Yeah. I had claustrophobia for quite a while afterwards. Peace. I have an intense hatred of the name Marcus since because that was the bastard's name. My 10-year birthday party. My friends and I played hide and seek Caterpillar edition. We put sleeping bags over us and wandered around in the dark to find each other. One of my friends lunges to tag another friend. Fell and went top head straight into her face. Knocked out 2 adult teeth and broke her nose. Blood everywhere. She had to go and get surgery. Her parents threatened to sue my parents but eventually got over it. She was never allowed to come to my house again. When I was about 8 years old, my little brother, who was 6 at the time, and my little sister, who was 3 years old, were playing some type of easy hide and seek in my grandparents' backyard. Well, there are woods behind their house. Our sister, being a defiant toddler, ran into the woods and my brother just saw her run in and ran in after her. They were in the woods for hours because she ran in so deep and they both got turned around. Our brother found a hunting post, climbed up it into the tree, and found a way out. They then knocked on doors, covered in dirt and scratched up, until someone answered. A woman gave them a ride back because our brother was able to point out landmarks to get back to our grandmother's house. They got back while my mother was on the phone with the cops. They were discussing a helicopter to find them. We were this close to an Amber Alert. They walked a collective 2 to 3 miles. They could have gone miles deeper into rural woods if they didn't keep going one way and find the post. So yeah, watch your damn kids, lol. Telling them don't go into the woods does not guarantee they will listen. Was playing hide and seek with 2 friends when we were like 10. Me and my friend found a fantastic spot and hid there together, and our other friend couldn't find us. Ended up going home to get his mom so she could tell us to come out and yell at us for hiding too well. Yes. This actually did happen. Had a friend who once hid in the trunk of his mom's car. Unknowingly she drove to the store, which was pretty funny and a pretty good place for not being found. We lost the kid in a hotel for about 2.5 hours and his mum was freaking out, getting the staff to look for him and threatening to call the police, just to find out that the kid was hiding behind a stack of chairs under a staircase. One day I was playing hide and seek with my friends and hid in the trailer of a tractor. When coming out I fell and I guess I hit my chest or something. But for a good while I lost my voice. Couldn't even cry. My friend hid in the drawer under my bed. I found her and pulled the drawer out. When she moved forward to climb out, it tipped and the edge landed on my big toe. Fast forward 6 hours and I'm an A&amp. Having a hot needle jammed into my toenail to release the pressure of the blood that had built up behind the nail. Yes, it did spurt blood. But my toenail fell off a week or 2 later, which was pretty cool. We were about 8 years old. I hide in a tree in the park from my dad. Big park. Right in the city. I was up there for about 2 hours. He passed under me several times, getting increasingly panicked, and I was like, I'm not falling for that one. Eventually I got bored and got down. Apparently right before he called the police. It wasn't horrible for me, but he was really terrified. I was about 5 years old playing hide and seek with my brother and sister. It was supposed to be inside only, but apparently I was a little cheat. I snuck outside and climbed into the backseat of my mom's car and fell asleep. Hours later my parents are freaking out, calling people to help look for me and screaming my name. I wake up and hear my name being called. Panic scrambling out of the car and slammed the door on my finger. It's still stuck bent at a weird angle to this day. When everyone forgot I was still hiding and I was left in the cupboard for over 3 hours. Recycling bins in our local district used to simply be 80-liter containers. They looked like baby baths. My little sister was somewhat hit and miss with the game. She was either found first within the first 30 seconds of the game, or everyone would be out looking for her for most of the afternoon. She hatched a plan to hide under one of these containers that had been lying in the yard for weeks and figured no one would have a chance to find her. The bins were black plastic, so no way to see inside of them. Suddenly, as I started to search, she jumped out screaming in pain. Little did she know that a small family of bees were waiting for her. While shopping with my 5-year-old daughter, she ducked into a circular clothing rack. Unbeknownst to me, she had been standing right next to me. So I realized quickly she was missing. Began freaking out and screaming her name. They locked the store down and began searching everywhere. Only when they began paging her over the loudspeaker and asking other shoppers to be on the lookout did she pop out. Upon being reunited with me, she said, "Hi mommy. Oh, I forgot to tell you I was playing hide and go seek." My grandma was Jewish and she was playing hide and seek with her brother as kids. She hid well and was very happy. The thrill of excitement from finding the perfect spot. Nobody would find her there. Then, out of nowhere, a group of Nazi soldiers break in the house. My grandma told me this story and at this point, she starts crying. She told me she couldn't see anything, but she could hear the screams of her own family as they were carried away. Her mother, her father, her brother and her sister were all taken that and she never saw them again. She was left alone in this world. It had truly traumatized her to this day and I wouldn't wish it upon anyone. I was and still am horrified at this story. She was lucky to be alive. Hope you're at peace now, Grandma. Rest in peace. Not exactly horribly wrong if you ask me. But when I was younger, like about 3 or so, my great grandmother was watching my younger brother, some cousins, and I. She decided hide and seek was a great idea since we all weren't able to open any doors without her help. Well, I found this perfect spot tucked between the wall and a couch with a small coffee table between the arm of the couch and that wall. So I got under the coffee table. Well, I got too comfy and I fell asleep. Back then I was a hard sleeper. My great grandma gets so worried that I somehow got out of the house when I wouldn't respond to her calling out for me. She called the cops. The fire department shows up first and start asking her questions about what happened and all the basics. They decided to do a quick sweep of the house and make sure. Well, one of the firemen seen a little shadow move under the coffee table, me, and asked if my grams had a dog. She didn't. So the search was over. And my grams never wanted to play hide and seek again with me. And that, kids, is how I earned the nickname Heidi. TLDR at the bottom. I was about 7 years old. And we were playing in the dark at Grandma's house. I don't remember the exact reason. But I popped into the game a little late. And was waiting on my brother or cousin to come rushing around the house. And I was set to beat them back to base. As they came running around the corner, I turned and started to run. I didn't pay attention to where I was and tripped on the wire supporting a newly planted tree. I fell to the ground, my wrist landing on a rock. I didn't know exactly what happened, but I do know it hurt badly. Run to mom and dad, bawling my eyes out. Dad took one look and knew what happened. So off to the hospital we went. Into the emergency room. And Dad tells the admissions nurse, "We need to see a doctor. My son broke his arm." She got a little huffy and says back something along the lines of, "What makes you so sure?" Then Dad lifted the damp towel that was covering my arm. And it was immediately apparent. She just started repeating, "Oh my god," and Dad had to calm her down so I wouldn't start freaking out again. I don't know how much more force it would have taken. But it was a radial fracture of the 2 bones in my forearm. Nearly compounded. I still remember seeing a couple bumps on my arm. But not much else. TLDR, tripped on a tree. Broke my arm. Made the admitting nurse freak out. Fun fact. Lots of kids died cause of hide and seek back when fridges had handles which you had to pull to open. Meaning when kids would hide inside some of these fridges, they wouldn't be able to push it open from the inside.
Hi there. Look, if you enjoyed the video, well, why not go ahead and hit that like and subscribe to Reddit Stories. In fact, if you want to see even more responses to this thread, well then, take a look. There's the link in the description below. And remember, show some love to those authors while you're there. And I look forward to seeing you next time.